claims he's the original founder of Bitcoin anyway. Brett, why don't you take that one away?
So the one and only Craig Wright.
Craig Wright.
So if people don't know, Craig Wright is a guy who claims to be the creator of Bitcoin. And in the Bitcoin community, anybody who knows anything about Bitcoin knows he's absolutely full of shit.
False.
Absolutely full of horse manure. But So this has been a contention of debate for many years now. And again, I think Craig Wright even went to the point where he forked Bitcoin or tried to have somewhat of a fork of Bitcoin.
What did you do with Bitcoin?
He forked Bitcoin.
He forked it?
Forked it. So you heard of BSV, right?
Yes.
Bitcoin Satoshi, I forgot, Vision. Bitcoin's Satoshi Vision, BSV, which is Craig Wright's version of Bitcoin.
That's why I haven't really heard of it.
So yeah, well, it's kind of funny because if you're the original creator of Bitcoin, you should not have to fork it. But that's his claim to fame. He has a PhD. He's a very pompous person. And so it's recently came in the news that Craig Wright, obviously in the Bitcoin community, there's a lot of people who don't think he's Satoshi, think he's an absolute imposter. And people who have publicly came out and said so, Craig Wright's taken them to court to sue them personally for saying anything against him not being Satoshi. And yeah, so basically it came up in the news that he's starting to lay off his lawsuits of people that say otherwise to him. It's kind of like Lance Armstrong. Remember Lance Armstrong?
Yeah.
So that was the thing that got me most about Lance Armstrong was it's one thing to lie about taking steroids to win the Tour de France, which, by the way, for years, there were a ton of cyclists who said there's no way that a human can accomplish the feats that he's accomplishing. He's got to be taking something.
He was my hero for a while.
Yeah, and for years, he denied. His piss tests all came up clean. Come to find out, he was basically taking out the dirty urine in his body and injecting new urine in his body when he had to take the piss test.
Wow.
But the thing about that the most is that Lance Armstrong then went and sued a bunch of people for saying that he was a cheater and that he was a fraud. And the whole time he knew he was a cheater
and a fraud.
So kind of similar, the same thing with Craig Wright. So what I find kind of a funny little story is, do you remember about a month and a half, 2 months ago, it came out, at least on Twitter, that there was somebody who deposited, I think it was like 26.2 or 26.3 Bitcoin into the original Satoshi wallet.
Right, I heard about that, yeah.
So a lot of different theories about that, but one of the theories that someone came up with on Twitter was that Craig Wright had sued somebody because they said he wasn't the originator of Bitcoin.
The original Satoshi. So he sued them and won a lawsuit, and their way of being an ultimate smartass to him basically was to deposit the payment for the lawsuit into the original Bitcoin wallet. Love that.
Because Craig Wright, if you are the original creator of Bitcoin, you would be able to go into that wallet and you would be able to extract that Bitcoin for that payment. But if you're not the originator, if you're not the creator of Bitcoin, then you're not going to be able to go into that wallet and get that money.
That's 100%.
What a way to return that favor in that lawsuit is, I owe you a payment, so here's what we're going to do to prove my point.
That's right. Now, if you do want to go after here, my boy Brett, he's represented by the law firm of No Give a Shit. So if you want to go after him, go right ahead. Come on, dude. Stop suing people. Wait, what's wrong with you? You lying and you're suing people? What is that? Whatever, dude. I don't care.
Well,
you want to prove that you're the original Satoshi? Good. Pull out some money out of that wallet. Do it publicly.
Which he's never been able to do. And that's kind of what the main argument is, which is if you are, all you need to simply do is go to the original wallet and move something around in there.
When I was a kid, we used to have a commercial, and it was a Wendy's commercial, and there was this old lady. She'd come in, she'd go, where's the beef?
I remember Clara, I think was her name.
Whatever her name was, but where's the beef? Show us, okay? Whatever. I don't care if he isn't. If he is, you know what? Hey, thanks, brother. But we know you're not. I'm just saying, okay? So what else is on our agenda? So much has happened.
Oh,
now,
man.
where do we get started?
First of all, we can, I guess, go the route of the Bitcoin spot ETFs.
Yeah, I mean,
that have came out.
Insane. I didn't think it would happen. Really, I thought they would delay it again. Mr. Gary Gensler would say, "I need more time to assess," and it didn't happen. I mean, I honestly thought it was going to get approved, but I didn't think it'd be approved right now.
Even when they gave it approval, Gary Gensler came out the day of approval and said, "I'm against it."
Right.
So yeah, he's only
against it now because it just happens to have BlackRock, right? And the boys,
Fidelity, and
so yeah, okay. Now he's not against it. So if BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street get in it, or however a combination that all worked out, then all of a sudden it gets approved. But yet, if anybody else tries, it doesn't get approved. So,
well, at least I guess we're to the moment where we finally have clarity, and we finally have some sort of regulation. Because when you know that BlackRock's getting involved, you know there's money to be made, right? So
they just bought, I would think, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago now, they bought 20,000 Bitcoin.
That's where all the inflow and outflows are going. Yeah. Is they're all coming from Grayscale, and they are moving over to the outflow over to BlackRock, Fidelity, all that stuff. So, people understand is Grayscale for years and years and years and years and years and years was buying up Bitcoin, right? So it was basically like an OTC, which wasn't regulated. You can still do. And so they had like 10 times more when the ETFs got approved than BlackRock or Fidelity or any of them. So just so people understand, the thing about a spot Bitcoin ETF is that they have to buy the underlying asset in order to trade it, right? So if I'm going to offer you a chance to buy into this share, I, as the custodian, have to buy the underlying asset now. So I have to physically buy Bitcoin. I have to physically have Bitcoin sitting there in order for me to offer it to you to trade. So that's a huge difference. But when you had one company that had like 10 times the amount, they've been selling because the people who bought through Grayscale for years and years and years was getting a premium. They no longer get a premium for holding on to it. So they're selling. And then guess who's buying? BlackRock and Fidelity.
Well, yeah, and Grayscale, they're the most expensive of the bunch. Most people are bailing Grayscale because it's just too damn expensive for all the trades and all that they're doing. But I will tell you this, prediction, okay? Right now, what are we cresting, like 42, 45?
41, something like that. So basically,
like
we've came down 20%.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, today, okay? Let me just pop that up. Hold on a second. All right, so right now, you guys are not going to be able to see this real well, but here it says we're sitting at $43,047.92, okay? And at the end of the day, that's still better than, 14, 15, right? But here's the prediction. I think the powers that be want to buy the Bitcoin a lot cheaper. Now that they can corner the market, they can buy it cheaper. So I'm a Bitcoin maximalist myself. I really believe in the whole idea of Bitcoin. But if I were sitting in the board right now, I would be saying, okay, we got to figure out a way to drop this price best we can. So look for some black swan events. Look for Bitcoin to drop at least 20,000 in the next, I'd say, 6 months. So they can turn around, swoop, and pick up as much of that as they can to turn around and do another run. So if you're going to buy Bitcoin, hold. Don't let it go. There's some guys out there saying it's going to go to 65 and this and that and the other. Perhaps. But I think in the short play right now is to buy dips. Watch it to go another 20, 30%, buy the dip, watch it, buy the dip. What do you have to say about that, partner?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point, is to buy the dips. And I can tell you from knowing a lot of traders, regular traders and holders, the people, unless you really know what you're doing with Bitcoin and crypto, to me, the best policy is always buy and hold. And, obviously don't get yourself in a situation where you're taking everything you have and you're buying it, because number one, if a dip happens, you're not going to be able to buy the dip. You have no money to buy the dip. And number two, it's a long-term goal of holding, right? So buy a quarter of what you have, and then if it dips some more, buy some more. But, people want to look at it as, well, it's gone down 20% from a month and a half ago, from a month ago since the ETF came out. But being down 20%, it's still up 120% within the last year. So everybody wants to focus on it going down 20% in the past month. And if you bought it a month ago and it's gone down 20%, yeah, you're down 20%. But at the same point, if you bought it last year at this time, you're now up like 110%.
Yeah. Here's the bottom line. You want to buy it as a hedge against inflation.
Yep.
All right. Now, the Federal Reserve met a couple days ago, and they said it stays the same. All right. So, Jerome, what's your playbook? Because in December, you were saying to the markets, hey, we're going to go ahead and drop the rates. So then Christmas and everyone got happy. Consumers went out and bought. And then what happened? We have the first meeting, and what happens? They say, oh, no, we're just kidding. We're just going to keep it the same. Oh, and by maybe March, we'll reassess. What did that tell the market? It means we ain't out of the mess yet, dog. We still have some hyperinflation coming, or some battles coming up with inflation, however you want to look at it. But food is up. Everything's up. Everything that matters is up.
That's the thing, right? Here's the dichotomy of it all, which is, on one hand, did you see the new employment rate, the new payroll that came out? So the non-farm payroll that came out today was supposed to be like 175,000. It was like 350,000.
I didn't see that. I saw
jobs that were created. I mean, it absolutely blew what was supposed to be completely out of the water by like almost double as far as reported jobs. But that's the dichotomy of it all, which is we have 3.5% unemployment rate. So we have very low unemployment rate, yet at the same point, every time you go to the grocery store, the food you buy is double. Yeah. The gas you put in your car is double. Everything that you do in life is double the cost.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's something on that. Let me give you something on that. Guys, look, here's the bottom line. Think about this clearly. So, anything that is of consequence has been going up. Things that don't matter, TVs, electric, anything, doesn't go up. It goes down. So if you need a car to go to work, now the cars are stinking $65,000, $70,000.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? For like a regular car, man.
Yeah. You need to buy a house. Oh, it's $450,000, $500,000 to buy a house in some areas. Some areas is even more than that. Try to move into San Francisco. Good luck. Okay? But at the end of the day, if the average person making $60,000, $55,000 a year can't afford to buy a house even with their spouse working full time, okay? And then forget about the cars.
Yeah.
So only things that are inflating are the things that they keep your butt enslaved for.
Yep.
Right? Other stuff that are just to keep you entertained. So when you get home after you beat the brush all day and you turn on that beautiful 60-plus inch TV, you're really proud of it. You can watch the game and sit there and just have your beer and hang out.
Feel your success.
Can you believe that, man? That thing cost me on sale $1,400, Brett. That's awesome. Well, before it was like $5,000. I made it. I'm in the club, man.
Yeah.
I'm in the club. You know what, dude? You ain't in no club. You got the shackles, baby. That's what you got. So right now, how do you combat that? There's only one way. You buy Bitcoin, all right, and you hold Bitcoin. There's a reason why these boys are getting into this game, guys. Wake up. They know something we don't know, okay? They're in the club, and you ain't in it, George.
Yep. This is your chance. That's the great thing about cryptocurrency, more specifically Bitcoin. I mean, there are literally people who will make life-changing money from simply owning like if you bought Bitcoin when it was even $100 or $500, which I know are far and few in between because people, didn't have the popularity it had now. But regardless, what other asset could you have bought in the last 10 years where, you bought it for $300 and now it's worth $40,000? Right. I mean, that's life-changing money. And then if you want to talk about these altcoins like Solana, or Doge, I mean, think about it. It's been going around on Twitter, and Elon Musk has been teasing on Twitter about using Doge as payments on Twitter.
That boy's been talking about Doge. Man, I got involved in that thing. I don't know how many times.
Yeah, but think about this. I mean, I bought $1,000 worth because why not? The price that it's at right now, like I have a buddy who bought $20,000 worth of it a few weeks ago. It's at what, 8 cents? If it even gets to the all-time high that it was last time, which if Elon Musk sends it to the moon for a payment, the all-time high last time is not going to be squat.
Well, they just came up with a community.
But I'm just saying,
the community
if it does hit even
Doge.
the all-time high that it was last time, with my buddy buying it now at $20,000, it'll be like $250,000.
Well, here's the Doge thing that happened in Cointelegraph. There was an article today, and it says Dogecoin network actively goes parabolic. Will Doge price follow, Brett? Now you bought $1,000, and if it goes up even a little bit, you might make $2,000.
What do you mean even a little bit? We'll make a lot more than that. The way I look at it, the way I assess everything is risk reward.
Yeah,
and the risk that I'm sticking into it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, $1,000 meant a lot more to me when I was younger than it does now. So I'm not saying $1,000.
It bought a lot more because you were young many years ago.
I used to be able to get a comic book and a pack of cigarettes for a quarter.
You could buy a car when you were young. You buy a house.
That's what my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. He's like, I used to be able to take your mom out on a date and get a Steve's pizza and a pack of cigarettes and a tank of gas for $20 for $10 and come home and still have change in my pocket.
Right. No, those were the days. I was talking to a client and we went to list his house. I went to list his house, and he's an old timer, real nice guy. And this guy, he was telling me how he came to this country from the Slavic nations or whatever, and he says he bought in, I think it was Downey or something. And he was all excited because he bought the property for like $200,000.
Yeah.
And then he's I can't tell you exactly what he sold for because I don't remember. But now he's fine. He's done very well for himself because he had a property and he sold it. But he was telling me back in the day that he would work and he would use 2 checks to pay for his house and his car, and then he'd have 2 checks to be able to do whatever he wanted.
And save.
Now, we're negative 2 checks.
Yeah, you're absolutely
we're
right.
We're chasing a check every month.
You're absolutely right. A lot cheaper, man.
Boy, you went somewhere, dude. Where'd you go?
Yeah, I was.
Brett got all depressed on the show. He was like, if I had $1,000 back then, man, I'd be rich.
So you know who Max Laughlin is?
Good old Max. No.
Max Laughlin is considered the world's smartest kid.
Max
Laughlin is considered the world's smartest kid. So he has proposed theories about how the Large Hadron Collider. You know what the
I have heard.
You know what the Large Hadron Collider is?
Yeah.
Yep. So basically, it's a particle accelerator, and it's in Switzerland, in the middle of a mountain, I believe.
Well, it kind of surrounds a bunch of countries.
Surrounds a bunch of countries. All right. So basically, he believes that when they were able to, what was it they were able to do with the first particle accelerator?
They were accelerating the atom.
So basically, when they did the very first successful test of accelerating a particle, he believes that opened another dimension.
Well, he believes that they blew up. That universe, and then we
so
went to the one
so
next
that's
to it.
basically what he's saying, which is he believes that when the scientists did that they actually blew up the universe, and we're inside of another universe.
Right, we're the next one over, the next dimension. You know what? And the good that you brought that up, because that explains something I've been kind of going into. Have you ever heard of a Mandela effect?
Yep.
Nelson Mandela. Well, that's some of what's going on around now in social media.
That's what he relates it to. Yes,
because
he relates it to the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Explain to people what the Mandela effect is.
Well, Nelson Mandela was a civil rights leader that went to jail because he wouldn't budge, and he wanted the rights, and they threw him in jail until he changed his mind. Well, from what I remember in my timeline, he died in jail.
No.
But in this timeline, today, right?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Say it again. Yep, sorry.
Okay, so what I remember when I was a kid is Nelson Mandela died a martyr. He died in that jail. But now in this timeline, died in jail as a martyr. And he became very famous for, basically standing up for rights in Africa. That's what it was. So now in this timeline, what they're saying is good old Nelson Mandela not only got out of jail, but he became a president of a nation, and he became ultra famous there that way by leading this nation into basically more civil rights, more prosperity for his race. However, none of us remember that. I mean, dude, I'm a Generation X. I never saw that, and I keep up with current events. But then, for example, the Fruit of the Looms. We wore Fruit of the Looms when we were kids. All of us did, right? So what people don't remember, what Fruit of the Loom is saying, that there was never a cornucopia involved with the Fruit of the Loom logo. Well, I remember a cornucopia. One of the only reasons I even knew what a cornucopia is, outside of maybe a Thanksgiving holiday or ornament, right, is that they had this cornucopia full of fruit. Well, now even Fruit of the Loom is saying, hey, guess what? That does not exist. Okay, we didn't ever have that. And then here's the best one. I'll leave it at this one, Brett. Check this one. This one blew me out of the water. You can relate. Do you remember Sinbad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was this comic. I loved this kid. When I loved him, man. When I was a kid, I used to watch him all the time. Well, Sinbad is famous for a movie that he did. And guess what? He says he never made that movie. Now, what was the name of the movie?
What was it?
Dang it. You had to ask. I thought you knew that one.
So the Mandela effect, so everyone knows it, the Mandela effect is basically a collective group memory of something happening a certain way that didn't actually happen. And obviously the Mandela effect is based off of Nelson Mandela. Everybody assumed, or collective memory is, that Nelson Mandela died in prison. He actually didn't die in prison. He actually got released from prison and then ruled South Africa, and he didn't die until 2013. Yet people think that he died in the 1980s in prison.
Right. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, another example of the Mandela effect is Mickey Mouse. Everybody thinks Mickey Mouse had suspenders. Mickey Mouse never had suspenders.
No, he had suspenders.
He didn't have suspenders.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
I remember this.
No, see?
He used to go like this.
That's Mandela effect. He didn't have suspenders. And then another one is, you've heard of Snow White?
I heard of Snow White.
Right? So the expression, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the prettiest of them all? It's actually magic mirror on the wall. No. Who's prettiest of them all? But people falsely, collectively remember it being some other way.
Yeah.
Look up the Mickey Mouse. I mean, I have it right here.
Okay, hold on. You do that. What
people remember Mickey Mouse with suspenders. He never wore them.
Yeah. Sinbad, he going back to that, he was in this movie, and this is what this Wikipedia article says. The non-existent film Shazam
That's what I was going to say.
Alleged by many online, including the Reddit, to have starred Sinbad pictured as a genie. Imagine if you woke up this morning and Disney in 1998 animation, A Bug's Life did not exist.
Do you know who did do Shazam?
Who?
Shaquille O'Neal. He
No.
played the genie. Look it up.
No way.
Look it up. Shaquille O'Neal.
No, that ain't.
Shazam.
Well, he may have done it later, but not in that year. Not
But I'm just talking about that's why I was going to say that movie because people, I remember that.
Look,
People
they
said,
even got pictures.
yeah, people said it was
People
Sinbad.
still have VHS tapes.
Dude, how's that crazy? Like,
Yeah, they have VHS. Here, folks, here's what's going on. There are people that go in their basement and they find the movie Shazam and they post it online and says, what do you mean it didn't exist? It sure did. Here it is. And they post it and show it. And if you go online, you'll see it. But here's the point, is that because of this young man's theory, okay, and many others, they're saying that this collider has actually taken us into another dimension. Now, I'm not saying I believe that, Brett. I'm not saying that. All I am saying is stuff's getting weird. And then let me tell you about this and let it be. There are biblical passages that are now changed than when I remember as a kid, you know, and it's crazy to see even the Bible is missing some passages, or the passages have been changed. Now, I'm not going to go into that right now. You can actually Google that, TikTok that, and you can find it for yourself. But it's kind of getting kind of a little spooky.
It's getting kind of hectic.
It's getting kind of
I've got the power. We're having too much fun.
We're gonna edit that.
We're gonna, yeah.
Cut that right.
No, that's the best. All right, man. Yeah, I mean, so
Is there anything else?
no, I just want to talk about that kid. I mean, that's very interesting.
You know, he disappeared for a while.
Did he?
Yeah, he stopped posting because he got so many death threats and
I
all
bet.
that. His parents said, enough of that.
Yeah.
He recently came back, I hear. But yeah, that kid, he stirred up a hornet's nest with that.
It's an interesting theory. And if you think about it, if something did go wrong, I'm not saying that couldn't be a possibility. I'm not saying it happened, and I'm not saying they weren't successful and we're still not in the reality we were in before. But if something did go wrong, it's hard to argue the fact that this couldn't have happened.
No, I agree with you. Do you remember 2000 when we went from 1999 to 2000? Yep. I for sure thought that
they were hiring jobs for that, man.
I honestly thought we would go into the Stone Age, that all of a sudden there'd be crashes because of computers and they couldn't monitor all the social services. I thought there was going to be problems, and all of a sudden, like the next day, people said, "Oh no, we fixed it." I'm like, "You fixed it."
I just remember thinking there's all this hysteria, and nobody thought about this problem when they were making computers. I just thought, I'm like, how has nobody thought of this? With all the thoughts that were put into making a computer, a home personal computer, no one once thought about that. It was odd to me.
Do you remember what it was? It was the IBM 256, I think it was.
2K something.
2 something. And that IBM computer is what time travelers now use because it's the only computer that has a true memory, a true drive that can be used in the future or some craziness. That's another conspiracy that I heard about too. Don't get me started on 2012. Oh my Atlanta.
Well, we got some other episodes. We'll plenty to delve into.
I'm not going into that. Anything else going on in crypto that we need to talk about? I mean, there's so much.
In the last 2 months, there's been so much happening. We could go on forever, but Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX,
don't get me started.
Well, here's the thing. They are going to be able to pay back a lot of that money. And they already have. When Bitcoins became ETFs, got approved, they've been selling a lot, and they've paid back a lot of investors. So I guess that's good. I mean, to me, the dark corner of the crypto market and everything that kind of had to go through before that last hurrah of adoption has happened. So the market may go up and down a little bit right now, but overall, I mean, we're here. You know, I've been doing this since 2017. You the same, if not longer. So I'm happy to see it.
Well, Sam Bankman-Fried also had something that was recent. I just got to remember. All right, here we go. What happened with this boy just recently? Some of his allegations have been lightened. Some of his sentences has been lightened. He did something.
Imagine that.
Well, that's what I predicted.
Probably because he's been paying back a lot of the money. It's amazing how that works. It's like when someone says a lawsuit's not about the money. Guess what it's about?
Wow, it's like robbing a bank,
the money,
and then come back, giving back the bank. You're still going to go to jail, dude.
Yep.
It says
no, I know, but I'm just saying is that, you know, I mean, that definitely I think gives you some consideration in court, doesn't it? Versus Bernie Madoff was like, fuck them. Every last one of them. They're all rich people. Who cares? That's what you get expecting unexpected results.
No,
Bernie Madoff, we know what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to try to play judge. I will just say that if you rob a bank,
I agree.
You just got to get out of town, dude. I mean, it's over.
Yeah, I agree. Don't get me wrong. Right. There should be no difference whether you rob it through a computer or you rob it actually physically going in.
You know what? We'll just cover it on the next one because I got to dive deep. Well, you know what? Even though this was not, the longest podcast we've ever done, we're just letting y'all letting you know we're here, and we'll be back on the weekly, right?
Cool kids in crypto. All the cool kids in crypto will be here, which is him and me.
Yeah, we ain't cool. We stopped being cool long ago. But anyways, hey,
we're cool with that.
Thanks for chiming in, and see you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.